First contact and defiance. The message arrived on every screen, every device, every communication channel on Earth simultaneously. The alien transmission cut through encryption like it wasn't there, broadcasting in perfect universal standard English. Your planet has been claimed by the Nexari Dominion. Submit now and preserve your civilization. Resist and face extinction. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the United Earth Defense Command Center, watching as the massive alien vessels emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Their ships were biological nightmares, massive, crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with internal light, stretching kilometers across the void. The largest was easily the size of Manhattan. "They're not even trying to negotiate," General Jackson muttered beside her. "Just straight to surrender or die." "Because it's always worked before," Chen replied, studying the tactical displays. The alien ships were unlike anything humanity had ever conceived. Organic technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities. According to their message, they conquered over 3,000 civilizations. No one's ever successfully resisted. The UN Security Council had convened an emergency session, but Chen already knew their answer. Humanity had spent the last century preparing for this moment. Ever since the first hints of alien signals had been detected, Earth had been building, planning, and unifying. The old nations still existed, but they'd learned to work together, creating a defense force that combined the best of human ingenuity with the determination to survive. "Send our response," Chen ordered. The communications officer nodded, and Chen's voice carried across space. "This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We've received your demand. Our answer is no." The response was immediate. A beam of energy lanced from the largest Nexari vessel, striking one of Earth's orbital defense platforms. The platform didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, its atoms scattered across space. But Chen smiled, because at that exact moment, humanity revealed its first surprise. The Destroy platform was a hologram. The real platforms were cloaked, using technology developed from studying ancient alien ruins on Mars. Before the Nexari could react, 20 simultaneous energy beams struck their lead vessel. The alien ship's shields held, but for the first time in centuries, the Nexari faced something new, an inferior species that could hurt them. "All units, execute Operation Hydra," Chen commanded. Across the solar system, humanity's true defense grid activated. Thousands of automated drones, hidden in asteroid fields and planetary rings, powered up. Antimatter mines, concealed in seemingly innocent debris fields, armed themselves. And deep beneath Earth's oceans, enormous electromagnetic pulse generators began charging. The Nexari commander's voice crackled through the command center, carrying a note of something that might have been surprise. "Your species is unusual. You had time to prepare. We've been expecting someone like you," Chen responded, "for a very long time. You should know something about humans. We're not good at accepting ultimatums." The alien's response was cold. "Then you will learn, as all others have. Preparation means nothing against the inevitable. There's something else you should know about humans," Chen said, her finger hovering over the master control. "We don't believe in inevitable defeat." She pressed the button, and across the solar system, humanity's first line of defense activated. The war for Earth's survival had begun, and the Nexari were about to learn why humans had survived countless near extinctions on their violent homeworld. They were about to learn that humans don't just fight. They evolve, adapt, and overcome. And for the first time in their long history of conquest, the Nexari would face an enemy that saw their overwhelming force not as a reason to submit, but as a challenge to surpass. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why they should never be underestimated. The edge of extinction. The first week of the war claimed 2 billion human lives. The Nexari's biological weapons turned entire cities into wastelands of crystallized organic matter. Their ships proved nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons, and their ground forces, towering crystalline beings that seemed to adapt to any environment, crushed military resistance with terrifying efficiency. But the Nexeri had never encountered anything like human persistence. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the underground laboratory complex beneath the Himalayas, watching as her team analyzed samples from a fallen Nexeri warrior. The creature's crystalline structure was unlike anything in Earth's biological history, a silicon-based life form that operated more like a living quantum computer than conventional organic life. "They're not invincible," Maya announced to the gathered military leaders. "They're just so advanced that they might as well be. But we found something interesting." She gestured to the holographic display, showing the microscopic structure of the Nexeri biology. Their entire civilization is built on perfect crystalline symmetry. It's in their ships, their weapons, their very bodies. And that's their weakness. Admiral Chen, her uniform now bearing the scars of 3 desperate battles, leaned forward. "Explain." "Chaos," Maya said simply. "Their systems can't handle it. They've evolved to be so perfect, so ordered, that true randomness disrupts their entire biological structure. That's why they've never lost a war. Every species they've encountered tried to fight them conventionally, with ordered military tactics and predictable strategies. But humans," Chen smiled, understanding dawning, "are anything but predictable." The next phase of humanity's resistance began. While the Nexeri expected Earth's military to protect major population centers, humans instead launched Operation Chaos. Cities were evacuated into vast underground complexes built during the century of preparation. On the surface, guerrilla forces used experimental weapons designed to disrupt crystalline structures. The Nexeri couldn't understand why humans would abandon their cities, why they would fight from the shadows instead of facing death honorably. Their perfectly ordered minds couldn't comprehend the seemingly random attacks that struck their forces from unexpected angles. In orbit, Earth's remaining ships didn't form neat battle lines. They fought like swarms of angry insects, their movements following mathematical patterns based on weather systems and crowd behavior. The Nexeri's combat computers, designed to predict and counter logical military strategies, began to fail. But the cost was astronomical. Half of Earth's surface was now uninhabitable, transformed by Nexeri terraforming weapons. The human population had been reduced to 4 billion, then 3. Yet somehow, humanity's spirit didn't break. In hidden facilities around the world, human scientists worked frantically to develop new weapons. They created nanobots that could disrupt crystalline structures, sonic devices that could shatter Nexeri bodies by introducing chaotic vibrations, and quantum field generators that interfered with the aliens' perfect symmetry. The Nexeri Supreme Commander, frustrated by humanity's continued resistance, launched what they believed would be the final assault. Their massive flagship, a crystal vessel the size of a small moon, moved into position above Earth. "Your species continues to surprise us," the Supreme Commander's message echoed through Earth's remaining communication networks. "But this ends now. We will transform your entire planet into crystalline matter. Your species will be preserved as perfect, ordered structures within our matrix. It is a more merciful end than you deserve." In her command center, now relocated to a bunker beneath the Antarctic ice, Admiral Chen watched the massive ship prepare its primary weapon. But she wasn't afraid, because humanity had one final card to play, one that would prove why humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. "You know what your biggest mistake was," Chen transmitted to the Nexeri flagship. "You gave us time to study you, time to understand you, and time to figure out how to beat you." She nodded to Maya, who activated humanity's ultimate weapon, a device that would either save Earth or destroy it. Either way, the Nexeri were about to learn that pushing humanity to the edge of extinction was the biggest mistake they'd ever made. Because humans don't just fight to survive, they fight to win. And they're willing to risk everything to ensure their victory. The human factor. The device that Dr. Maya Patel and her team had created wasn't a weapon. At least, not in the conventional sense. It was a quantum field generator that broadcast pure chaos across spacetime, disrupting the perfect crystalline structure of Nexari technology. But its true power lay in what it revealed about their enemy. For the first time in their history of conquest, the Nexari experienced something they had never encountered: unpredictability. Their crystalline ships, once gleaming with perfect symmetry, began to develop irregular patterns. Their coordinated attacks became disjointed as their hive-mind communication system struggled against the chaos field. In the Antarctic Command Center, Maya watched the data streams with growing excitement. "Admiral, look at this," she called to Chen. "The chaos field isn't just affecting their technology. It's changing their biology. Their perfect crystalline structure is trying to adapt, but it can't maintain stability." The Nexari flagship hung in orbit, its surface now a shifting maze of fractals and asymmetrical patterns. The Supreme Commander's voice crackled through the comm system, distorted and uncertain. "What have you done? This is impossible. Our form is perfect. Our order is absolute." "That's exactly your problem," Chen responded. "You've evolved to be so perfect that you've lost the ability to adapt. But humans, adaptation is what we do best." Across Earth, the resistance shifted into high gear. Human forces, equipped with portable chaos field generators, engaged Nexari ground forces. The crystalline warriors, once nearly invincible, found themselves vulnerable to attacks they couldn't predict or counter. Their perfect formations shattered as human guerrilla tactics exploited their newfound weakness. But the Nexari weren't defeated yet. As their primary systems failed, they revealed weapons that even they had feared to use: reality warping devices that could tear holes in spacetime itself. The cost of victory would be high. "They're desperate now," Maya observed, watching as reality distortions began to appear around the Nexari fleet. "They'd rather destroy everything than admit they can be beaten." Chen nodded grimly. "Then we'll have to be more desperate. Initiate Protocol Omega." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a network of quantum computers activated. These machines, designed by human scientists who had studied the ancient alien ruins on Mars, began to generate artificial chaos fields on a massive scale. The fields weren't random. They followed patterns based on human brainwaves, creating a type of disorder that was paradoxically ordered in its own unique way. The effect on the Nexari was devastating. Their ships, unable to maintain their crystalline integrity, began to transform. But instead of shattering, they started to evolve, forced to adapt by the very chaos they had sought to eliminate from the galaxy. "You see," Chen transmitted to the increasingly unstable Nexari fleet, "that's the difference between us. You sought perfection through order. We found strength in chaos. You conquered through force. We survived through adaptation. And now you're going to learn to adapt too, or you won't survive at all." The Supreme Commander's response was unlike anything they had heard before. A mixture of rage, fear, and something else: curiosity. You're not just fighting us. You're changing us." "Why?" "Because that's what humans do," Chen replied. "We don't just destroy our enemies. We transform them. Sometimes we even make them our allies, if they're willing to learn." The battle for Earth had entered its final phase, but the outcome would be decided not by weapons or technology, but by a fundamental question: could the perfect, crystalline Nexari learn to embrace chaos before their rigid perfection shattered completely? The answer would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the future of galactic civilization itself. Breaking the unbreakable. The transformation of the Nexari fleet was unlike anything humanity had expected. As the chaos fields continued their work, the crystalline ships began to change in ways that defied their original nature. Some vessels merged together, forming new, asymmetrical structures that pulsed with internal energy. Others fractured into smaller, more agile units that moved with an almost organic fluidity. But aboard the Nexari flagship, a more profound change was taking place. Supreme Commander Vix, once a being of perfect crystalline symmetry, watched in fascination as patterns of chaos spread through their body. Where there had once been rigid, geometric planes, now swirling fractals and irregular formations emerged. The pain was excruciating, but with it came something new, something the Nexeri had never experienced before: true consciousness. "Admiral Chen," Vix transmitted, their voice now carrying complex harmonics that reflected their changing nature. I understand now. We were not perfect. We were stagnant." In the Antarctic Command Center, Maya's instruments were detecting unprecedented changes in Nexeri neural patterns. "Their hive mind is breaking down," she reported. "But they're not dying. They're individualizing, developing unique consciousness patterns." Chen studied the tactical displays, watching as the Nexeri fleet's movements became increasingly unpredictable, not from dysfunction, but from emerging creativity. "They're becoming something new," she observed, "something neither human nor Nexeri." But not all of the Nexeri embraced the change. A significant portion of their fleet, led by hardline commanders who refused to accept transformation, turned their reality-warping weapons on their own kind. Space itself began to tear as massive energy beams carved through the chaos-altered ships. "You corrupt our perfection," the hardliners broadcast. "You destroy what we have maintained for millennia." Vix's response was immediate and unexpected. The flagship, its crystalline surface now a mesmerizing dance of order and chaos, moved to protect the evolving vessels. "We were wrong," they transmitted to all frequencies. "Our perfection was our prison. These humans, they haven't defeated us. They freed us." The battle that followed was unlike any in galactic history. The evolving Nexeri, their ships and bodies incorporating both crystalline precision and chaotic adaptation, fought alongside human forces against their former brethren. Reality warping beams met quantum chaos fields, creating spectacular distortions in space-time that threatened to tear the solar system apart. In the command center, Maya made a startling discovery. The chaos fields. They're not just affecting the Nexeri anymore. They're beginning to influence human technology too, but in a different way. She brought up displays showing how human ships and weapons were developing crystalline elements while maintaining their adaptability. It's like both species are converging on something new, a perfect balance between order and chaos. Chen understood the implications immediately. This wasn't just a war anymore. It was an evolutionary leap for both species. The question was whether either civilization would survive the transformation. "All units," she broadcast, "concentrate fire on the reality-warping weapons. We need to end this before the fabric of space-time gets out." Vix's voice joined hers. "To all Nexeri who can hear me, we were wrong about perfection. True perfection isn't static. It's the ability to change, to grow, to become more than what we are. These humans haven't corrupted us. They've shown us the next step in our evolution." The battle reached its crescendo as the combined human Nexeri forces pushed back against the hardliners. But victory would require one final, desperate gamble, one that would either save both species or destroy them both in the attempt. Chen looked at Maya, then at the quantum computer readings. "Are you seeing this?" she asked. "The chaos fields and the reality-warping weapons, they're creating something." Maya nodded, her eyes wide. "A nexus point, a moment where reality itself becomes flexible. We could end this right now, but we don't know what will happen when we do," Chen finished. She opened a channel to Vix. "Supreme Commander, are you ready to take the biggest risk in your species' history?" Vix's response carried a hint of what might have been laughter, another new experience for their kind. "We are already transformed, Admiral. The only way now is forward." The final phase of the battle was about to begin, and with it, the future of both humanity and the Nexeri would be forever changed. A new dawn. The nexus point hung in space like a twisted mirror, reflecting distorted images of both human and Nexeri ships. Reality itself seemed to bend around it, creating patterns that were neither order nor chaos, but something entirely new. Dr. Maya Patel's voice was steady as she reported from her station. The Nexus is stable. If we're going to do this, it has to be now. Admiral Chen and Supreme Commander Vix had made their decision. As the hardliner Nexari fleet prepared for one final devastating attack, the combined human-evolved Nexari forces initiated their desperate gambit. All ships, execute protocol synthesis, Chen commanded. Across the solar system, human vessels activated their modified chaos field generators, now integrated with crystalline technology. The evolved Nexari ships, their once rigid forms now flowing with organic grace, added their own transformed energy to the mix. The Nexus point began to pulse, drawing in both the chaos fields and the reality-warping energies of the hardliner weapons. Space itself seemed to hold its breath as two fundamentally opposed forces, perfect order and pure chaos, collided at a single point in space-time. "What are you doing?" the hardliner commander demanded, their transmission crackling with distortion. "You'll destroy everything we are." "No," Vix responded, their voice carrying harmonics that would have been impossible in their previous crystalline form. "We're becoming what we were always meant to be, what every species is meant to be, something more than what they started as." The Nexus point expanded, engulfing first the nearest ships, then spreading outward in a wave of transformation. Where it touched the hardliner vessels, their perfect crystalline structures didn't shatter. They evolved. The rigid geometry of their forms began to flow like liquid crystal, maintaining strength while gaining flexibility. In the Antarctic Command Center, Mina's instruments were recording something unprecedented. The quantum readings. It's not just affecting their ships and technology. It's changing the fundamental way both species interact with reality. She brought up a display showing the molecular structure of both human and Nexari tissue. The patterns were shifting, humans developing crystalline structures that enhanced their neural processing, while the Nexari gained the organic flexibility they had lost eons ago. "We're not just ending a war," Chen realized. "We're starting an evolution." The hardliner fleet, caught in the transformation wave, had no choice but to experience the change. Their weapons, designed to enforce perfect order on the universe, instead became catalysts for unprecedented growth. The reality-warping energies, combined with the chaos fields, created a new kind of space, one where order and chaos danced in eternal balance. Vix's flagship, now a breathtaking fusion of crystalline precision and organic fluidity, moved alongside Chen's command vessel. "Your species," they transmitted. "You knew this would happen, didn't you? Not the specific outcome, but you knew that facing extinction would only make humanity stronger." Chen smiled. "We hoped. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, or our weapons, or even our adaptability. It's our ability to take our greatest challenges and turn them into opportunities for growth. We don't just survive. We transform. And now, we've helped you do the same." The transformation wave continued to spread, reaching the edges of the solar system. In its wake, it left something entirely new, a civilization that was neither purely human nor purely Nexari, but a synthesis of both. The rigid hierarchy of the Nexari dominion dissolved, replaced by a fluid network of interconnected minds that maintained their individuality while sharing a deeper connection. In the years that followed, this transformation would spread across the galaxy. The 3,000 civilizations previously conquered by the Nexari would be freed, each finding their own balance between order and chaos. Earth, once a target for conquest, became a beacon of change, a living example of how confronting extinction could lead to transcendence. But that was all yet to come. For now, in Earth orbit, human and Nexari ships flew together through space that rippled with new possibilities. They had done more than win a war. They had proven that the universe's greatest strength lay not in perfect order or pure chaos, but in the endless dance between the two. The age of rigid conquest was over. The age of endless transformation had begun.